The opinions expressed on the X and Y Show are the sole opinions of the host. Please note, there is no intentional desire to offend any member of the listening audience. With that said, if you still feel offended, tough shit.
It's time for the X and Y Show with your host, Mr. Roosevelt. He talks about man topics, lady topics, and relationships. He talks about love, sex, and infidelities. He even gives good tips. There is no other show that compares to the X and Y Show.
Oh yeah. Sit back, take your clothes off, and relax. It's time for the X and Y Show, where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. The only place on the planet that tackles the topics that everyone wants to talk about, but no one is brave enough to address. Nothing escapes X and Y, baby. Now, here's your host, Roosevelt Colbert.
And greetings, and greetings. Welcome to another segment of the XY Show. I'm your host, Roosevelt, and I'm glad to have you here with me again for another exciting show, another exciting episode. So, it's been a long week. Wow, March is already upon us. My goodness, this year is going by pretty fast. Before you know it, winter will be over. It'll be spring. I hate the spring. It's always all that fucking pollen and it's raining all the damn time. It's just sticky. And I'm not a pollen sufferer, but I just hate spring. Fuck spring. And then after spring, you got the fucking summer where it's 100 degrees every day. Or it's 95, but the humidity here makes it feel like 110 and shit. So I hate the spring and summer. My seasons, if you know anything about me, my favorite is the winter. Second is fall. And that's one of the reasons why I had to move out of this city that I'm in, because I'm definitely in the wrong place. But anyway, here we are in March. But the good thing about it is we're closer to Christmas season. So, that's the way I look at things. It's about 9 months away. That's like a baby and shit. So, you got to take the good with the bad. So, anyway. Let's start off with a question. This is from Heidi. She says, Roosevelt, why are you so hard on people with low hygiene? Maybe they simply can't afford it. You might have a point, I guess, Heidi. Maybe they can afford to take two or three baths a day. But that's still no excuse. It's just, take a Navy shower. You don't have to get in the shower and stay, for 20 minutes with the water running. Do a Navy shower. Just turn it on, get wet, soap, lather up, and then rinse your ass off. It's no excuse to be walking around with a funky ass, especially a woman. Because, if I see a woman, and that's anything, it's not just a funky ass, it's a stink mouth, the hairs stinks, the clothes and all that shit. If you smell on the outside, if I smell your hair, if I smell your tongue, and if I smell your ass, your clothes, I don't even want you to take your clothes. I can imagine how you smell with no clothes. So, it's no excuse for that. It's no excuse for walking around with a nasty ass. And nowadays, so many people are doing that shit. Women and men walking around with a funky ass. And I know it's bad on women too. Women don't want to smell a guy's breath. They don't want to smell a guy's nuts when she goes down to get him head. They don't want to smell a dirty, stinking guy. So it works both ways. I don't understand why so many people are walking around with a funky ass. That's something that I will never understand. Or a lot of people walking around, bathing their ass only once a day. That's bullshit. If you're an adult, you should be washing your ass at least twice a day. And if you live somewhere hot like Miami, Phoenix, Atlanta, New York, any of those when it get hot, you might wash your ass at least 3 times a day. So it's no excuse for that. You can't afford it. No. Just get in, get wet, lather up, then rinse your ass off. It's no excuse for walking around with a funky ass. So no, I don't have any pity for people like that. I don't have any, no pity on them. There's no excuse for that. It's ridiculous for a grown person to walk around with a funky ass. So anyway, I hope you got what I'm trying to say. Oh, let's get it. Let's jump into this week's episode. I'm probably gonna get some emails. Oh my God, you're so mean. Oh my God, you're so inconsiderate. Oh, people hate to hear the truth. It's a lot of people, if they heard the truth, a lot of people walking around funky probably don't know it, which is hard for me to believe. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes they so used to it, they funky ass, so they don't know that they're funky because nobody's saying anything. Nobody wants to hurt, somebody else's feelings. They don't want to be inconsiderate to someone's feelings. So they just let them walk around with a funky ass, let them come in the office with a funky ass, let them come to work, let them come to school, and in public places, with a dirty ass, and nobody say anything. And then when somebody does say, maybe you need to wash your ass sometime, and there's ways to say it that's with more tact, but, something along those lines, you need to bathe your ass. Oh my goodness, he's so inconsiderate, that's so mean, oh my God, oh, no, it's not mean, that's the truth. Matter of fact, I challenge people, in the sound of my voice, if you run across from here on out for the rest of your life, this is going to help our society. Fuck this. For the rest of your life, when you run across somebody with a funky ass and a stink ass tongue, I want you to tell them and just pull them to the side where nobody else can. You ain't trying to embarrass nobody, but pull them to the side. And I'm talking about both sexes. If you smell a woman, tell her. If you smell a man, tell her. Say, look, I don't know if you know it, but your breath really smells. Or, your tongue is really killing me, Or, offer him some gum or some shit. Or, at the Christmas the Secret Santa, get him a case of Dial or some shit. Make sure they get the message, Because if we don't say anything, we don't communicate with them, then it's our fault, really, that they're walking around with a funky ass. So that's another way to look at it. Anyway, I know I'm going to get some emails. Let's get into this week's episode. Should you plan children? Should you plan children? It's something that I've always thought about. And, well, not always thought about. As I get older, I've been thinking about this a lot more because I do want kids. And I'm thinking, I've been like, my current occupation, is I work a lot of, crazy hours and a lot of late hours and stuff like that. So, it's like if I had kids, how would I do that? And I'm looking at how do people do that with working and so forth. It's fun. It's fun to make the kids. It's fun to fuck. And that's the easy part. You fuck and then you get kids and she get pregnant. And they had a baby. That's the easy part. The fucking. And but the hard part is when those little motherfuckers come, when they actually arrive on this earth, then what? You know, and it was so much, I guess, easier back in the day, like the beaver days, I call it, because usually back in those days, the man worked and the mother stayed at home. You know, which made it, you know, it was easy. We had kids, you staying home, I'm going out to work. You know, that was the common thing back then, back in the 40s and 30s and all that shit. You know, because the women just didn't work, and a lot of times women wasn't allowed to work. So it was a different world back then. So back then it wasn't like, you know, we're going to let our parents watch the kid, or we're going to put a kid in the daycare. No, because mom always stayed home. So in the essence, it was kind of easier, I should say. You know, because, you know, we had kids. Daddy go out and work, mom stay home with the kids, you know. But nowadays, we live in a different time where mom is not necessarily staying home. You know, if you have, I mean, for those of you listening out there, if you just got married, or those of you who have been married for a while and you already been through this, or those of you about to get married, you know, and you talked about this, you know, if you decide to have kids, what are you going to do? You know, what is your plan to take care of these kids? You know, because, you know, nowadays you can't just ask the mom to stay home. You know, well, you're going to stay home and watch the kids, right? You can't do that because it's not, well, it's not right. And it's not fair. You know, I mean, the wife might have, she might have gone to school. She might have had a specialized degree, you know, or might have a master's degree. She's a professional. So she went to school and she wants to be a professional. She wants to be a teacher. She wants to be an accountant. She wants to be a lawyer. She wants to be a pilot, you know, whatever. But her plan was not to stay at home and watch the kids. So it's not really fair to expect the woman to stay home anymore. You know, it's a different world now. Women are working. Women are more independent. Women are more educated. So you just can't take for granted that, oh, my wife will stay home. You're going to stay home. You can't do that shit no more. And most men wouldn't want to do that either. If a man do want to stay home, then I guess that's good. But in my mind, he's probably a sorry motherfucker if he wants to stay home. I mean, I guess, you know, that's tricky. You know, you can tell the difference between a guy who just lays his head and don't want to work, or a guy that say, well, you know, I'm going to take off. I'll stay home with the kids. While I'm staying home, then I'll go to school. And, you know, once the kids get to a later age, then I can come into the workforce. That's different. You know, you can tell the difference between a motherfucker who's just trying to sit on his ass than one who's saying, well, you know, I'll stay home because it's better for our situation right at this moment in time. And while I'm staying home, I'll take an online class or take some online classes. And then when the kids are, you know, later in age, in second, third grade, then I can come to the workforce. That's different. But it's not necessarily something you can take for granted either, because a lot of times people, you know, they can't afford to have one stay home anymore. You know, unless you're a fucking athlete or something, or you worth millions of dollars, then that's. I'm not even talking to those kind of people. I'm talking to the middle class and under. I'm talking to working people. I'm not talking to rich motherfuckers. You know, this doesn't apply to them. I'm talking about the 9-to-5ers. That's who I'm speaking to. So, you know, you can't afford nowadays for one person to stay home, you know. And it's a rarity when one person is making six figures, you know, where they can actually, one person can really afford to stay home. But that's still not necessarily guaranteed that just because the wife is making $200,000 a year and the husband is making $50 a year, still not guaranteed that he would want to stay home. Just because he's making less money, that's not, necessarily true that he would want to stay home just because he's making less money. People go to school, they get educated, and they don't want to stay home. They want to work. They actually enjoy what they're doing. So, what do? How do you get through those years where the kids actually need to be watched? And this is some shit that actually is really starting to fuck with my head. Because I'm a little worried. I mean, it's even crossing over into the type of women that I'm starting to date. If it's a more professional woman, like a 9-to-5 woman, like a nurse or something like that, I find my way of kind of avoiding them because, I'm thinking to myself, damn, she's working a lot of hours, how we gonna do with kids? And I don't mean to do it. It's just, I don't know. It's an unnatural thing where I automatically do it. Like I hear a certain type of occupation, and I'm like, oh shit, she worked too much. I can't get with her, And I don't know. This is something that really started to fuck with me because it's very important. And literally, you only have 3 options when you're having kids. You only have 3 options. Now, the first option I touched on a little bit. One of you had to stay home. That ideally that would be the best option, but that's not an option that is, automatically available for every couple. Everybody can't stay home. Everybody don't want to stay home. You can't take it for granted anymore as somebody staying home for the family and being the house person. That's really unrealistic. And that's very rare nowadays. But that is an option. If the wife say, yeah, baby, I will stay home. I will get out of work. There's mothers who have done that. Who are very successful in their careers. They are very successful doctors, very successful lawyers. And say, I will stay home until the kids are older, then I will come back later in the workforce. There are husbands who have very successful in their careers who said, honey, I'm doing well, but, if we're having kids, I'll stay home. And then when they get a little older, I'll go back in the workforce. So, each couple is different. And that's great if they actually can stay home and actually can afford it. A lot of couples can't. A lot of couples can't afford to stay home. Everybody's not a doctor. Everybody's not a lawyer. What if they work in Walmart, or fast food, Probably more than, I would say, it's not likely that one person can afford to stay home. They both have to work. So that, like I said, it depends on the couple. Every situation is different. In that situation, one person can't stay home. They can't afford it. If you can afford it, then one person can stay home if they agree to it. But if you can't afford it, then that's not an option to you. So you just can't take for granted of, hey, one person staying home, because that's not always the financially correct thing to do. So what do? Obviously, the next option you have is daycare. And I'm going to tell you something about me. I don't trust those motherfuckers. I don't trust those motherfuckers. I don't trust the daycares. And I know a lot of you saying that, oh, no, my daycares, they're wonderful, and they have cameras everywhere. We can watch them on our phone, and we have an app. We can watch them, and blah, 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 blah. Good for you. But there's always a way to get around those cameras. And those crazy motherfuckers that work in those daycare centers, and not all of them crazy, but a lot of them are. And if they're not, prove it. Shit. A lot of those motherfuckers are crazy. So they find ways and they know ways around those cameras. You know. Well, if I go over here, it's a dead spot. That, you know, the camera can't see. Or if I take his ass in the bathroom and beat the shit out of him, the cameras can't see in there. You get my drift? So I don't trust those motherfuckers. Especially when my baby can't talk. You know. When my baby can't talk, I'm talking about me personally. It's very unlikely, it'll be very hard for me to leave my baby at a daycare. I just don't trust those son of a bitches. I'm sorry. There's always a way around it. I mean, you hear it I did an episode on it a few months back about daycares and stuff. And I couldn't even get one to agree to speak with me. You know, I was talking from a point of view, like, you know, from a family who's worried about something might happen. What can you do to guarantee that the child is safe? And I called like 50 daycares, and none of them would agree to speak with me. You know why? Because they can't guarantee it. They can't. They can't fully guarantee that a child is safe in those daycare centers. You hear it every day. Child get molested, child get hurt, child get his arm broke from daycare worker, child gets burned by daycare worker, child gets shook to death by daycare worker. You hear all kind of shit. Just Google it. All kind of shit would come up. So even though daycare is an option, and if you find a good one, you know, also allegedly a good one, then good for you. But me personally, I don't trust those motherfuckers. None of them are good to me. Fuck them. So especially when my baby can't talk, you know, and can't tell me when somebody doing some shit to him, then I don't feel comfortable with leaving my baby at a daycare. That's just me. You know, that's just me. But, you know, but that is an option. That is an option. So that's the second option. Either one of you stay home, you know, or you have the daycare center. And again, daycares are not cheap, you know. So if you have one of you, you know, both of you are working, you know, daycare expenses are very, very expensive, you know. Costs money to put those little motherfuckers in there. So that's not a cheap option, you know, as well. Not to mention that you always have to worry about if they're actually being in a safe place. So that is an option, but shit, is it? So the last option, or another option, is the grandparents. You know, and a lot of you have done this. Well, mom can watch it. Mom's retired. Oh, our parents can watch it. Both of my parents are retired. They can watch the kids. And, you know, me personally, you know, when I hear somebody say that, I'm like, what a selfish motherfucker. Look at that selfish. You know, I can't stand motherfuckers like that. You know, like, you know, always, you know, like automatically believing that their mother or their father, just because they're retired, oh yeah, they can watch the kids. They're not doing anything. They're retired. That's the most selfish shit. I wouldn't even do that to my mother. You know why? Because my mother and my dad, when he was alive, they paid their dues. They watched their. You were their kids. They already did their duty, wiping your ass, making sure you had everything you needed until you left the house. You know, they've done their duty. They worked years. Now they're retiring. They're chilling, relaxing, watching TV, sleeping, and some of them still fucking. You know, they don't want no goddamn kids in the house. Now I'm saying that it's not like they don't love them. They love their grandkids. But goddamn, they've done their work. And for someone to always say, "Oh, mama watch him," she's retired. Dad's there. He can do it. That's the most selfish, inconsiderate bullshit I ever heard, and I hate to hear someone say that. And it makes me think low of a person as well. I just want you to know that. So if you listen to me, and if you said that around me, I think you're a sorry son of a bitch. I do. I think low of a person that would actually have kids and put them on their old parents who retired and chilling and relaxing and enjoying their later years in life. You throwing grandchildren on them. That's unfair. That's inconsiderate. That's selfish. But it is an option. A lot of you motherfuckers do it now. Oh, my parents can watch them. They're not doing anything. They don't care. And a lot of parents will say, oh, no, I don't mind. No, I don't mind. They're not going to tell you, like, don't bring those bastards over here. They're not going to tell you, don't bring those motherfuckers over here. They're not going to tell you that. No. But, that's what they're thinking. Trust me. They're thinking that. Now, I don't know. It's different when you take them over to grandmom's house on the weekend and they make cookies and have popcorn and read the Three Piglets and all that shit. That's different for the weekend. But every motherfucking day? That's worse than when they was raising your ass. And you putting that shit on them when they're old? Come on. That's inconsiderate. That's selfish. So yeah, I think very low a person when they do that. Oh no, my parents watching for us. But that is an option. But not for me. Not for me. I would not do that to my mother. Hell no. And I wouldn't do that to my wife's parents either. They paid their dues. Leave them alone. Damn. Leave them alone. They paid their dues. But that is an option. A lot of you motherfuckers are doing it already. Throwing your kids off on your parents. Not giving a fuck. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. My sister used to piss me off with that shit. When she used to leave my nephew, he used to get out of school. And I was kind of different, because... Wait a minute, it's been so long ago. Hold on, was he there all day? No. Yeah, his ass was there all day. And, back then, that was a crying little motherfucker. He would cry over every goddamn thing. Give him a bottle. Let him have a toy. He would cry over every goddamn... I ain't never seen a baby cry like that until my other cousin came along. I ain't gonna say his name, but if anybody listen to family, they know who he is. But my sister used to piss me off because she used to leave my nephew, and his ass used to cry all the goddamn time. And I was thinking to myself, damn... my mom didn't say nothing. My dad was living at the time. He didn't say anything, but I know deep down, they didn't want all that shit there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they didn't care, And a lot of other grandparents don't care. They would do that sacrifice to help their grandkids and help their children, because some grandparents are dedicated like that. I'm just saying from your point of view, you should have the consideration to avoid that option. Your parents have already paid their dues. They've already done their work. They've already raised you. And you're throwing some more grandkids on them in their later years when they're older and fighting arthritis and all kind of shit when they should just be watching TV, sleeping, and a little fucking. All I'm saying is it's not right. Yeah, you can do it because a lot of grandparents will allow you to do it. But is it right to do it? But some of you don't give a fuck. You do it anyway. You know it ain't right, but you do it anyway. But that is an option. your grandparents. So those are those are the options that you have. Either, when you have kids, even if you planning to have kids, how could you get around that? Those are the only things you can do. One of you can stay home, but you can't stay home. You can't afford it. Or you can have a daycare, and that shit expensive. And then you got to worry about them motherfuckers doing their bullshit at the daycare. And the third option is having your old parents, watch your kids. Those are options you have. No matter how much planning you do, you have to consider what is the best option for you. What is the best option for your family? So, when you do fuck, that's the easy part. But the hard part is when those little bastards arrive, then what? You should have a plan in place of what you are going to do. Me personally, I don't have one. That shit is complicated. If I fuck around and get with a woman that works a lot, then what are we going to do? I stay home? I really don't want to do that. I didn't get 4 degrees to stay home. I can't expect her to stay home. It's not an option. So I'm just giving an example, get a daycare. You know how I feel about them. So that's not really an option. I'm not letting my mom watch them. And I'm not letting her mom do it either. Or parents. So, what are we going to do? That shit is tricky. What do we do? How do we plan to have kids? How do we plan for that? Maybe the other option is not to have kids. You want kids, but it's not. You're not able to have you can't. Maybe that's the best option. Just don't have kids. You don't have to worry about none of that shit. I don't know. Well, if I ever figure it out, I would definitely pass it on to you guys. But as of this moment, I don't know what I would do. And a lot of you out there are thinking, what do I do? How do I plan for this? And a lot of you out there are going through it right now. And a lot of you are leaving them over to your grandparents tomorrow or going to the daycare. So a lot of you have already figured out what you're going to do. But is that the best option? Did you actually plan to do that? Or are you just winging it? So, we asked the question, should you plan children? Absolutely. You have to have a plan in place. Because I believe if you don't have a plan in place, it just makes an already complicated scenario even more complicated. And that's something that you don't want when it concerns your children. That concludes another episode of the X and Y Show, and I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check it out on any available venue that you're more comfortable with. I'm on Blueberry. I'm on Google Play. I'm on TuneIn. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Stitcher. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on Castbox. And I'm missing one, but I can't remember. So anyway, I'm on most of them. So you can find out which one you like. Apple Podcasts as well. So you can find out which one you like the best. Be sure to subscribe and listen. And I would definitely enjoy you doing that. I'm also on social media. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG. I'm on Facebook as well. You can find all of that, my social media and my platforms on my website, which is www.thexyshow.com, www.thexyshow.com. You can find everything there. The story is coming. Yeah, you said that shit. But the story is coming. I'm working on getting another distributor, so just be patient. And also, there's a contact form. You can leave constructive criticism. You can ask me questions or just say hello. So everything's on the website. Be sure to check it out. www.xyshow.com. That concludes another segment of the XY Show, and I want you always to remember that you cannot have love without X and Y. Later.
You've been listening to The X and Y Show with your host, Roosevelt Colbert, the place where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. Join us next time. You can now put your clothes back on. Or not.